So Starfield is finally upon us. And oh boy, I have a lot of thoughts on this game. Tally-ho, ItsOcean back again with another episode of RecommendOceans, the show where I talk about all the video games, the movies, the TV shows and all the anime that I've been checking out, giving you some of my spoiler-free thoughts in hopes that maybe I can either recommend or not recommend this to you. So Starfield. Going into this, I was very excited. I've always really enjoyed Bethesda games and the style of RPG that they create. And now it is finally out and I have played it. Now I am ready to talk about this. So to kind of wet your whistle, I want to give you an idea of what the story is for this game. So in Starfield you play as a miner. No, not that one, that one. Yeah, this one. One day you find a strange new piece of metal. This is an artifact. And there are many more of them out there in the universe. After finding the first artifact and having a strange vision of sorts, you meet Barrett. No, not that one. Who is a member of a group called Constellation. Constellation, I know. Their main goal is exploring space, the vast final frontier, the field of stars, the spaghetti and meatballs. Hey! As I got to know more of these people in Constellation, and as I got to find more of these artifacts, the story started to get better and better. And without any spoilers, once again, by the end I was like, oh wait, is this possibly Bethesda's best written game? Well, the jury's out on that one. And that's not even to mention the vast myriad of side quests that this game has. There's so many fucking side quests. As I mentioned as well, Constellation also has a bunch of companion characters that can join you on your adventures. Characters such as Sarah Morgan, the aforementioned Barrett, and my personal favourite, Sam Core. Oh, Sam. Oh, come here, baby. Oh. Huh? What? Who did that? That was strange. I'm not trying to make out with Sam. Why would I try and make out with Sam? It's not like he's sexy or anything. I mean, it's not. I'm just gonna move on. And some of these companions can actually be romanceable. Oh, come here, Sam. We can make out now. But to move over to the gameplay side of things, your spaceship, the Frontier. And while this ship may look kind of basic at first, you can actually hit this up with some cool new tech. If the Frontier isn't to your liking, save up a bit of dosh, a bit of wonga, and you can buy one of these other ships instead. This game has kind of got space travel. You can get in your ship, you can fly around, you can shoot other ships, and hell, if you manage to damage a ship's engines enough, you'll be given an opportunity to board the ship. You could take all of the stuff from the ship and just leave. You can get into the pilot's seat and take the ship for yourself. Another kind of new feature in this game is outpost building. Now this is kind of a new mechanic because Fallout 4 had the settlement system. The outpost system feels kind of similar to the systems in Fallout 76, where you would be able to put a building somewhere and you would have like a... Thank you. Or you would have like a ring to tell you where you can and can't build, and the outpost system does the exact same thing. While you're here, you can set up extractors to get minerals. You can then sell those rocks. Now they're minerals! However, in my opinion, Fallout 4 was a better game for the building. And for me personally, I did feel like the outpost system was a step down from Fallout 4 settlement building. However, it's not something that you are forced to do, so if you don't like any of this stuff, you can ignore this completely. So don't worry, you're not gonna have Space Preston Garvey over here telling you, there's an outpost on the moon that needs our help. And while we're kind of on the topic of minerals, this game has a fuck ton of minerals to try and get in this game. I know we're in this like vast ginormous universe, but did you really need to put like 650 billion different fucking metals just to try and mine? You can use these materials for crafting, as I previously mentioned, and part of this is done at the research station. So this game allows you to modify your weapons, your spacesuit, you can make food items, you can make other crafting items by crafting, which is kind of weird. But in order to actually access some of this stuff, you have to do research. Once you have the materials available, you can dump them into this research project, which now means I can now put a silencer on my gun, or I can now put a scope on this rifle. It's kind of a cool system, but my problem with this is it just feels like an extra step. So if I'm being really honest about this game, Starfield is filled with tedium like this, and I don't know why. It feels like they made everything take 2 extra steps than it needs to take, which for me kind of made the game a worse experience. So for an example of the tedium of this game, here is a location known as The Den. I spent a lot of time in this location because there is an item in this game called contraband, which is illegal goods that if you go to a big planet like where the big cities are, there'll be space police patrolling in orbit and they will scan your ship. If they find the contraband, you'll get arrested. So I would quite often go to The Den to sell my contraband, as there is no law in this specific space. But then, while I'm there, I would have several lots of contraband that would maybe be like 20,000 credits or something, and the vendor would only have 11,000, which meant I could sell a certain amount of contraband, and then every time I wanted to sell more, I'd have to go and sit in a seat and just sit there and just wait for ages until the vendor had enough money again. And certain vendors will only buy very specific items, so if you've got a ton of weapons to sell, you're shit out of luck. What are we going to get in Starfield 2? You have to make sure that you take a pee every half an hour. Once I've sold all my contraband items or whatever, I have to go right back over to the fucking ship again. Loading screen. Now I'm in my cockpit. And now I can fast travel to New Atlantis. Loading screen. And I'm here in what? Why am I in space? The game will just dump you into space above the planet that you're trying to fucking fast travel to. Select the planet again, and then you press the button again to now actually land on the planet. Or if you want to, you can just select it from space, but I found a lot of the time it just wouldn't let me do that for some reason. And then of course, as you guessed it, loading screen. This makes selling things in this game an absolute chore. And that's not even to mention the fact that this game no longer allows you to store things infinitely in storage containers like every other Bethesda game. Now, inside a location known as The Lodge, which is a story location, in the basement there is actually a couple of storage containers that do have infinite storage. But this is kind of a pain in the ass, because personally I would prefer to have my ship have infinite storage, because I'm always on it. I'm always travelling around in my ship, doing things in my ship. So being able to just store things easily in my ship means I can keep going, I can keep adventuring, I can keep going with quests. But instead, your ship has a weight limit to it, and you have to go into the ship builder menu to add more cargo in order to update that. But then it's, oh no, your engine's not good enough now because you've got too much weight, so then you have to keep upgrading your engines, and it just becomes this experience in tedium, just doing some of the simplest things in the game. So I would have to go all the way back to the lodge, loading screen, then I go in, loading screen, I finally go downstairs, I put away all the materials that I want to put away, but oh wait, I want to do some outpost stuff, and I need a lot of fucking minerals for that. So I take out all my minerals, and oops, I now have 15,000 weight. And then things get even more tedious. Travelling around with 15,000 weights worth of minerals instantly wipes out your stamina bar. Your health starts to drain. It wipes you out quicker than a Thanos snap. And now I have to move very slowly to make sure I don't fucking die. And then once I'm on my ship, then you can actually fast travel. So then I can go to my outpost, and then I have to be very careful walking around the outpost because I can't have infinite storage in my outpost, which means I can't just store my minerals here for when I need them. I have to keep travelling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and considering I love doing base building, this is so fucking tedious. It is annoying as all hell. And this is what I mean about Starfield being a game made up of tedium. There's so many tedious game aspects that just make me question why. Why is this designed this way? Now, in terms of combat, I don't really have too much to say. If you've played Fallout 4, you'll know exactly what to expect, because the game feels very similar to Fallout 4. You also can have boost packs in this game, and there are a couple of different types. And this can help you navigate and get around, but at the same time it's also quite fun for combat. There's a vast amount of different weaponry in the game, there is a lot of really beautiful scenery in this game, there's some areas that can be absolutely gorgeous, some other areas that can be a little bit more moody and murky. My personal favourite location in this game though was Neon. This location is on a water planet that has a bunch of oil rigs that are connected together to make up the city of Neon. But then as soon as you step through those doors, then you've got other locations like the previously mentioned New Atlantis, which feels very clean. But then you can visit Aquila. Aquila Matata, what a wonderful phrase. And this is another location that I really enjoyed. This place feels like it stepped out of Star Wars. Also, Sam comes from Aquila, so I'm a little bit biased. These locations, very cool. The random planets you can explore are awful. It feels like two different halves of a game here. You've got content-rich areas of New Atlantis and Aquila and Neon and other cities, but then you step foot on a random planet and it's just nothing. It's just nothing. Like nothing at all. There's nothing here. Where am I? This isn't Taco Bell. And this is the part of the game I really do not enjoy. There is actually some little bits of content here on these planets, but it always ends up being the same kinds of things. Here's an abandoned mining outpost that some pirates have taken over. You kill them, you take stuff, you leave. Here is a random cave with some minerals in that you can stand around with a laser tool shooting at for ages, which is very boring. And instead, I would rather just go and buy the resources. It's not like I'm running out of credits, but the rest of the time you are just walking and walking and walking and walking. This is by far the worst part of this game. You can throw in all this tedium as much as you want. At least I can find some form of enjoyment in the quests and side quests and the cool cities. But this, however, is just awful. This is so boring. Like, I understand the exploration or realism and stuff, you know, like if you're going to travel to a random planet, there's a very good chance that there's going to be fucking nothing there. Once again, this is a video game. So overall, Starfield is kind of a mixed bag for me. I really had a good time with the story. I love the characters. Some of the side content, such as the side quests, can be incredibly fun and interesting to do.
Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry, Mommy?
But overall, the game does have a lot of tedium, and a chunk of the game is incredibly awful and snooze-worthy. I kind of wish they would have just cut all of this stuff out and just stayed with this stuff, because it's just infinitely more fun. And the game is actually pretty good for a Bethesda game in terms of bugs. There's actually not really that much that I've experienced. This happened where this guy apparently decided to turn into some sort of fucking monster, I guess? But this stuff and the constant tedium that I have to deal with in this game knocks this game down a few pegs for me, but I still recommend giving it a try. If you're not a fan of Bethesda RPGs, then you probably won't enjoy this game because it basically is that same kind of style, but in space. If you are a fan of those games, then you'll more likely have a good time with this. So do I recommend Starfield? I'm really, really looking forward to the hundreds of Star Wars mods that are going to get made for this game. But that's the end of this video. Now, I am aware it's been a little while since I did a RecommendOceans video. Oops. But I'm currently working on some cool stuff. It's also getting to the point now where we're in the video game release season. So there's probably going to be a bunch more RecommendOceans videos coming out soon, so keep your eyes peeled for those. As well as all the other great things that I usually make, such as Gamers Digest, which I'm currently working on a new episode of. But thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Pip pip toodaloo!